the Daily Ramble podcast. Hello, you lovely Hammers fans. Welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is a Daily Ramble. We're going to be talking about what we expect Lopetegui to do moving forwards, certainly into the weekend. How's he going to line up? Because we've got the news that Nicholas Fulkrug certainly will not be available this weekend. We're going to talk about some other bits and pieces as well. But before we go there, as always, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. It don't cost anything, and it does really help us out. And also, the most important thing, if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to drop a like on the video, because that tells the YouTube algorithm to go mad. Right, before we go anywhere else, I'm going to give my weekly shout out to our channel sponsors, the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. They're an absolutely great place, owned by West Ham fan David. Brilliant, based in Kent. But a wonderful, wonderful company. They've been the channel sponsor now forever. If you like your tea and your coffee, who don't? I absolutely love the place. Go over to their website. The link you'll find in the description. Use our discount code Claret15 and you will get 15% off. All right? Okay, so first of all, transfer news, because we know that we've got two spaces that we're potentially looking to fill with free transfers. John Egan was lined up as one of them, so was Matip, but it's apparently both of those we've turned them down. So we know that John Egan they had a look at him in behind closed doors friendly against Dagenham and Redbridge, where we won 5-0, I think it was. That was a Danny Ings hat-trick and an Andy Irving. Is it Irving or Irvine? A brace. He loves scoring against him. And they had a look at him. I think he had a half of football, and they've said no. So I think that's a good thing, because apparently Caden Casey has been told that he is now fourth in line. According to X, anyway, that's a report that's been released, and I hope that is the case, because look, we're not desperate for centre backs. We've got, he would be fourth choice. We've also got Alvarez, excuse me, who can fill in, and we've also got Wan-Bissaka, who I think could fill in more than competently as a centre back if we absolutely needed him. So we don't need to go out and take up any more of our wage bill on a centre back, especially somebody, in my opinion, in the mould of Egan. Yes, I know people point to Craig Dawson and stuff like that. And look, it's nice, it's romantic, but for every Dawson, there's a Roger the Relegator, isn't there? So I think we should be moving beyond that now. When you look at the quality overall that we've got in this squad, we should not be picking up players like that, especially when we kind of let Ogbonna go, because he's past it and he's over the hill. What if you want someone like that in the squad, may as well have kept Zoggy, in my opinion. So no, look, that's good news as far as I'm concerned. So that means that there's two spaces left for free transfers. Maybe we'll see an attacker. Maybe we'll see a Martial. Maybe we'll see a Depay. You don't know. Because as we know, Nicholas Fulkrug is injured. It still has not been determined how severe it is. However, it has been released that they don't think it's a rupture. I think he's been scanned and everything else. It's not a rupture. I think he'd know if it was a rupture. It wouldn't be able to flap his foot, because that'd be it. It'd be done. So it's probably, I think they're pointing more towards a strain or tendonitis or something like that, which could be 3 to 4 weeks out. But it's something that can flare up as well as something that can be recurring. If it is tendonitis, it might not be something that haunts him for the rest of his career until there's some sort of procedure. So look, we don't know. But one thing that we do know is that he's not playing this weekend. So what is Loppe going to do? I mean, we know that he hasn't started any Premier League games anyway. It's been Antonio that's been starting. So you might think that it's not going to affect Lopetegui's game plan, certainly how we start against Fulham. But I think it will, because I think that Antonio has not pulled up any trees. He certainly has not put in any performances so far that kind of have screamed, "This is my position." He should not be leading the line, in my opinion, at the moment. I think that we've got better options, and that's what we're going to go on to discuss now. Right, so as we know, old Nicky Fulkrug, he's out for the moment, so we'll get him out of the way. Now, look, we've spoken about the three at the top there. So you've got Kudus, you've got Bowen, you've got Paqueta. We've spoken about these players plenty of times. Now, for me, what I would like to see, I'd like to see any of them lead the line, if I'm being honest. But personally, I'd like to see Paqueta pushed up, because I think he's apparently he had a bit of a period like this when he first went to Lyon, and they used him in this false nine position, right? They used him in this false nine, and he came to life. That kind of kick-started his career at Lyon, and he went on from strength to strength. Now, look, that's not really the case here. He's already he's got a career at West Ham. We know how good he is, but he has gone to sleep a little bit. I think he would be perfect. I think he's the biggest of the bunch. I think he's decent in the air. He's great at hold-up play. He's great at buying fouls. He loves close proximity football, i.e. with defenders all over him. He invites that on. He invites contact on. So I think he'd be well suited there. He ain't the world's most clinical finisher, I will say that. But in terms of link-up play, if he gets a decent chance on his left peg, good chance he'll score. But I think it would be a good move. And what that would enable us to do is to pull Kudus into the 10, which is something that we all want to see, and bring old Jimmy on the wing, right? That's what I think that we could do. Now, there's other options as well. There are other options. Now, the other option, if you want to maintain Jimmy in that lineup on the left-hand side, is most likely dropping Rodriguez out for the moment, bringing Soler in, because we know that Soler is going to feature. Whether he'll start or not, I don't know. But Soler can operate as the 8, in a double pivot with Alvarez. I do think this guy's been brought into play. I don't think he's been brought in to be a bench player. He's earning far too much money on a loan. So, again, that enables Kudus to stay in that central position. You've got Paqueta up front. The other thing that we could do, of course, is you could forget bringing Somerville in and leave him as a backup option. You could drop Lucas Paqueta out to the left-hand side. You could, I think in this instance here, which is what a lot of people are calling for, I think you could play Bowen up front. You could bring Kudus out to the right-hand side. Pull Carlos Soler in a 10 and bring Rodriguez back. So that's something that you could do as well. So he's got a raft of options. The argument for putting Lucas Paqueta out on the left-hand side is that he didn't suffer as much as anybody else when Moyes put him out on the left-hand side. In fact, he kind of flourished, you could say, because he's got that relationship with Emerson, that kind of link-up play. But any of these lineups, for me, they look okay. I would like to see Somerville come in. I think he needs to be used. I want to see him in the first team. I really do. I want to see him given 90 minutes up there with support in a team that are playing fluid football, getting forward. I think he will be amazing. I really, really do. What I fear that we might see, however, this is what I think that we might see, is Kudus out on the left, Bowen on the right. Hang on, let's get him out of the way. Soler off. Paqueta back in the 10. Now, don't get me wrong, this ain't the end of the world, because you can always change it up mid-game, but I do think that this is probably how he's going to start. And I'd like him to prove me wrong. He did with the Thomas Souček thing. The other thing as well, which is really concerning for me, is that obviously he's got this idea about having a tall man up front, because we know we play a lot of diagonals. We do play a lot of diagonals. Is Souček going to come back in? Is he going to come back in? I don't know. If he does, who drops out? Antonio? Would you play Souček up front? There's been a few people that have said this. Now, my argument for not playing Souček up front is what Souček does when he scores goals. He doesn't do very much in a game, so the opposition forget all about him. What he tends to do is he tends to feed off of the fact that you've got lively wingers and a lively forward that are keeping defenders occupied. And then what Souček does is he finds space. And like I said, people forget about him because he don't touch the ball much. Finds space, he attacks it, and he picks up scraps, and that is where he scores his goals. I don't think you'd get the same return from him if he was leading the line, because he'd be the main point of focus for the centre-backs. They'd be on him. And I don't think he makes intelligent movement. He's good at drifting and finding space when no one's looking at him, but I don't think I've never seen him make an intelligent run that a striker would make, for instance. In terms of his link-up play, I think that would leave a lot to be desired, because his short-range passing is pony. So I don't think that would be great. Yeah, he'd be able to win the ball in the air. I don't know about bring it down. He ain't got the best control in the world. But that's another concern as well. I don't really want to see Souček or Antonio start this one. I don't. I do want to go back to one of the formations that I spoke about earlier on. That's what I'd like to see, because he's had a couple of weeks away now. I know a lot of these players have been. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll finish on my preference. So my preference is that. I probably should have started with that, shouldn't I? With Jimmy Somerville coming in on the wing, and we can bring Soler on off the bench. for either Rodriguez or whoever to bring him on to see how he does. I don't think Soler necessarily needs to start. I think we've got a lot of players that are oven ready at the moment. Yes, I want to see Soler, but that is the type of... This is how I'd like to see Lopetegui use the squad that he's got at the moment, because I think that's really exciting. And like I said, Lucas Paqueta probably is, I think, the most suited kind of number 9. I know a lot of people were screaming about Bowen playing up front. Oh, I really don't. I know he did it for England against the Republic of Ireland, but they're shit. They are. And he did it again against Finland, and we got brought on again, didn't he, as a centre-forward, didn't do anything. It's no slight on Bowen, but people are saying that he should be a centre-forward. I don't think so. Whenever I saw him up front in a David Moyes system, he went missing. He just weren't there. I think his strongest position is out on the right. The majority of his goals come from running at a fullback, chopping inside onto his left and doing the Yarmolenko. That's literally what he does. If you play him centre, I think he's too easily marked out the game, too easily bullied. And I do worry that it will hinder his game. And I've already seen too many square pegs in round holes in this team. I really have. I don't want to see... to bring Kudus in, we've got to sacrifice Bowen, because Bowen is strong out on the right-hand side, so leave him there. Kudus can play in that 10. Lucas Paqueta's played in that false 9 for Leon. He's done it for us. He's done it for Brazil. He knows what he's doing. He's a good player. He'll adapt to wherever you sling him. He didn't even die out on the left wing. And Jimmy Somerville has got to come in. And with that good, solid foundation of Alvarez and Rodriguez, I think that would be fantastic. And I put Todibo in instead of Dinos, because I think Todibo's had a couple of weeks now on the training ground. I'm expecting him to be much fitter. I do think with the money that we've paid for him, he ain't playing backup. He's gonna start at some point, and it could be against Fulham. So let me know what your thoughts are anyway. Let me know what your thoughts are on those lineups and what you think Lopetegui is going to do. I'm really excited for the game. I'm not expecting a win. I'm not expecting to get thumped 5-0 like we did last year, or whatever the bloody result was. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost this one. I wouldn't. I just want to see us continue seeing those green shoots of hope. You know, that's what I mean. I don't want him to revert back and get scared and put the old guard back in. Have Antonio and Souček in the bloody team. We don't want that. Let's move forwards. If we drop points along the way, fine. But you know, scraping over the line is not progress. If this is a project, then treat it as such and get your philosophy out on that pitch, believe in it and stick with it. That's what I think should happen anyway. Anyway, look, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll speak to you all soon, and come on you Irons.